Oh, God. Oh, hold on, I forgot a drink. How am I supposed to do this without a drink? Alright. Oh, hold on, I need to crack it open first, bro. Gotta get through this. Fucking Dead by Daylight developers. Okay, so... am I supposed to care that they nerf toolboxes? Is that what they're trying to convince me here? Okay. The Dead by Daylight developers did that thing that they do that I can't stand when they do it. They open their mouths. Since they opened their mouths, we now have to go over what they said. I read reading through all this, I'm supposed to just believe that the game's gonna be hunky-dory after this, right? They fixed everything. Everything is fixed. We got, like, what, 2 killer buffs here, and I'm supposed to be excited about it? Okay. So let's read this shit and go over why it doesn't matter in a second. Because I read this completely unimpressed. I mean, I'm certainly glad we're not getting nerfed. I mean, I don't have to come on and tear the hair out of my head. But, so, that's at least good, but we'll go over why this doesn't matter in a second. The first developer update of the new year is here. In this series of blog posts, we take a look at some upcoming changes and improvements making their way into Dead by Daylight, as well as our progress on any pressing issues. This time around, we'll be revealing the changes to toolboxes and items, changes to a pair of killers, and a new game-changing feature. Game-changing, huh? Is it going to be reduction to generator times? If not, then I could care less what this is. Matchmaking. Okay, so we got a one-sentence addressing on the matchmaking, and no details about the MMR, which, by the way, I'll say this again, the MMR could not get here fast enough. I just had 2 survivors one-hook themselves on a Switch game, and I didn't pip because of it, because they just decided, oh, I'll just one-hook myself instead of a DC. Oh, actually, I did have 1 survivor DC, and then I had 2 survivors one-hook themselves. So, they can still prevent you from pipping, it's just... They can still prematurely leave the match and just not get punished for it, which is the problem with the whole DC. So, like, the DC update, again, I'll say this again, didn't actually fucking matter. The developers don't know why we care about disconnects. They just think that if they penalize them, it'll stop the damn thing. First of all, anybody that doesn't DC just one-hooks themselves now. So it doesn't help anybody. These punishments don't do anything for anybody. So way to drop the ball on that one, developers. Once again, you show that you know nothing about this game. Embarrassing. I don't understand how a company that sits here and spends 12 hours a day trying to prevent something from falling apart and then literally doesn't know anything about it. Like, it's amazing how little they know about the game. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how little they know about this game. Hopefully, MMR will save the game. Kills versus not kills. That's how we do this. If we want to save this game in any way, shape, or form, we have to do kills versus not kills. We have to make the win condition easier for killer. Kills versus not kills. And for God's sakes, get off our back with how we're supposed to play. And if you're worried that Leatherface is gonna be a problem, rework Leatherface, please. The guy could use a few buffs. Like, for God's sake, it's not that hard, guys. It's really not that hard. Dude, Leatherface was a lazy killer. You designed him very lazy. His add-ons are garbage. He has like 2 of them that are good. Fucking rework him. But please rework Clown first. Clown needs it more. So, yeah, and matchmaking in the new MMR cannot get here fast enough. The rank system is garbage, it has got to go. You know, I say the same shit, again. I just sound like a robot here, dude. I repeat the same fucking things every time I come on here. And I'm miserable doing it. You think I have fun playing this game? I don't. This game is miserable. Okay. So, and that's all, since they only put one thing, let's just get into the meat of the issues here. Toolbox repair changes. Toolboxes have been on our to-do list for a while now. Oh, I'm sure they have. They didn't just start after you nerfed Ruin and every killer goes, well, what about the fucking toolboxes that are broken? It didn't just show up. While they aren't always a game changer on their own, laughs in brand new part. Laughs in brand new part on that one. They can quickly become problematic, I hate that word, when multiple survivors bring one into a trial. Because that's what the issue here is. Multiple survivors bring toolboxes in. Since repairing generators, when they capitalize generators, why do they capitalize generators? Who cares? Since repairing generators is a survivor's main objective, we want to make sure they cannot speed up their repairs too much. You know, if you want to make sure they can't speed up their repairs too much, how about you look at that 44-second number when there was 2 of them on it? That is the number that kills us. I've been saying this repeatedly. That number is why Discordance is a meta perk. Because that's the number you have to stop. 44 seconds? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. These toolbox changes, I'm just going to say it right now, aren't going to do anything for killer because they don't actually matter. The problematic numbers are when there's 2 of them on a generator. The toolboxes, unless like you're running brand new part, commodious mechanics, like only like the high level ones actually mean something. Again, it's when multiple, like the toolboxes. So like what makes me mad here is what they said is technically not wrong. The toolboxes only become a problem when there's multiple ones / brand new part in a trial. But the problem is the fucking generator speed when there's 2 survivors on it is just too fucking fast base. So like that, don't you think that is more of the issue than just the toolboxes? It's multiple survivors on a generator that's a problem, and that's what it always has been. Am I supposed to just be excited about a toolbox nerf? What that's gonna do is just make it less bad. First, it's still horrible. It's still shit. Like what they did was that there's like 18 pieces of dog shit on the ground. They went in there and picked up 2, and I'm supposed to just be happy about that. That's what they did. That's what they did. They picked up 2 pieces of dog shit, and I'm supposed to just ignore the other 16 pieces of dog shit just laying on the ground. Hey, guess what? It still stinks to high heaven in my house, motherfucker. Fix it. So like the developers honestly think toolboxes are the things speeding up the objective. So once they go in, and that win rate that I know is looking really bad at the red ranks right now, that I know is looking horrible. So once this doesn't fix it, they're gonna have to they're gonna have to know they were wrong. This is something we've kept in mind with perks, which is why so few perks affect repair speed. But those perks don't matter. You know why those perks don't matter? Because they have everything they need base. They don't need to bring a perk into the game. They don't need a toolbox in the game to gen rush you. They have every number they need. 44 seconds. The time gets cut in half when there's 2 of them on a generator. You nerf their repair speed when 2 of them are on it by like what? 2% or some shit? So like 44. Let's see if I can do this math here. This is never a good sign. 44 divided by 80 is 55%. Okay? So it takes 55% of the time when 2 of them are on it. Okay? So I can't do this math, but like basically their speed isn't being nerfed very much, which is the problem here. Whatever, I'm not gonna do the math, I can't do it. Toolboxes were an outlier in that they could be used to considerably speed up your repairs across multiple generators, shaving off a lot of repair time. But, like, seriously, all of this applies to 2 people on a generator way more than it does to toolboxes. Seriously. A toolbox makes the generator deplete like what, 10 to 20 seconds if it's like a yellow one with like bad add-ons. Like 2 people on a gen, like, let's just, I'm gonna read the whole thing again, and we're gonna see how true it is if you just replace the word toolboxes with 2 survivors on a generator. Let's see how much the statement actually changes. 2 survivors on a generator has been on our to-do list for a while now. While it isn't always a game changer on their own, they can quickly become problematic when multiple survivors do multiple generators together in one trial. Since repairing generators is a survivor's main objective, we want to make sure that they cannot speed up their repairs too much. This is something we kept in mind with perks, blah, 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 blah. 2 survivors on a generator is an outlier because they can be used to considerably speed up your drip repairs across multiple generators, shaving off a lot of repair time. The only statement that I had to fix was like the second sentence, was because it wasn't accurate to knowing how problematic it actually is. While it isn't always a game changer on its own. Well, first of all, brand new part is. And then secondly, when there's multiple survivors on a generator, that is a game changer. If you do it twice, that's a complete game changer. To balance this, that's a joke. That's a fucking joke right there, behavior. To balance this, we are drastically lowering the number of charges toolboxes have, but increasing their repair speed to compensate. This way, you'll be able to repair a small portion of a generator very quickly, but your toolbox will run out much sooner as well. Okay, this is too vague to get any assumption. Like, what to a small portion? Are we talking like 15% of the generator, or are we talking like 25%, or are we talking 30%, or are we talking even something smaller like 10%? 10%. Let's see how much that is. That could basically mean anything. That's too vague. That's too vague for my taste. Well, I mean, again, I think you will definitely see on the PTB tomorrow how bad this actually is for survivors. And when it comes to how bad, now, I'm not going to say survivors, because it's not bad for survivors. How bad it is for toolboxes. How much they've been affected by this. Toolboxes have much lower impact on the match, and you can no longer be used the whole time you repair. The amount of time saved with the toolbox is much lower overall. Okay, that's just something we have to take their word on it. So, like, I think a yellow toolbox does, like, shaves off, what, 10 to 20 seconds or some shit? So, like, what I'm hoping from this is just what I'm getting from this. I'm hoping that the toolbox will maybe do 20% of the generator. And then it's gone, and then you don't have to see it again. And I'm hoping that goes across to all the, and maybe the best one, Commodious Toolbox, can like do 70% of a generator. That's what I'm hoping, but I doubt that's what it is. I'm sure it's a little bit better than that. There's more strategy involved when you use your toolbox. Do you use it right away and risk being interrupted before you can finish the generator, or do you save it for the moment where the killer is heading your way and the generator is almost done? Okay, well, none of that actually matters, because at the beginning of the game is so helpless, and since the meta is gen rushing and always will be gen rushing, unless they drastically change it. Since it's not being drastically changed, the meta is still gen rushing. You're gonna want to get into advantage state as soon as fucking possible to make it down actually mean less. That's always the goal. So yeah, it's gonna be to just rush it. And again, until gen rushing goes away, or is at least balanced, until gen rushing is fixed, it will always be to just rush the generator. There's no strategy when you play Survivor. The strategy is just rush through your objective as fast as fucking possible, because that's what it always is, especially with no slowdown. Toolboxes have also had their add-ons reviewed to go in line with these changes, aka hopefully brand new part got seriously nerfed, which is what I wish they would address here, but this is long enough as it is, so let's just fucking move on. Sabotage changes. We have made changes to sabotage as well to go along with the updated toolboxes. There's a few things we'd like to address with the current sabotage mechanic. Sabotage take a lot of time and coordination to pull off, making them very difficult and unreliable. Yeah, not for SWF. SWF knows how to do it. The fact that it takes a lot of time is the reason why you never saw it. If a coordinated team pulls out, the killer is forced to slug the survivors since they can't make it to a hook. If the survivors are using Unbreakable or No Visor, it can be pretty unfair to the killer. Okay, since why don't we talk about fairness to the killer? If you want to talk about fairness to the killer, the fact that you want to talk about this, you want it to be realistic with the sabotage thing. The fact that such a coordinated team took a lot of time to actually do the sabotage bullshit, and then slugging was still BS. Like, that is like slugging isn't BS, slugging is just good. The fact that slugging is just so good and it helps the killer snowball, it's actually not that big of a deal. Like, Sabotage being, like, where it is right now. I thought Sabotage is exactly where it needs to be right now. And like, if the survivor's using Unbreakable or No Mither, it can be pretty unfair to the killer. Whenever a killer sees No Mither, they go hallelujah. Trust me. No Mither is just so bad. So, like, don't tell me that No Mither makes it unfair. Because No Mither is, like, handicapping herself. That perk is so bad. Now, Unbreakable's a different story. Unbreakable's pretty good. To make sabotaging more interesting and accessible, we have made the following changes. So this is kind of... I feel like this is a buff disguised as a nerf. The sabotaging now takes only a few seconds, but the progress resets if you cancel the interaction. Yeah, big whoop. No one's gonna cancel the interaction if it takes 2 fucking seconds. If a coordinated team pulls it... Oh, I read that already. The number of hooks that can be sabotaged with a single toolbox is extremely limited. Okay, whatever. Big whoop. Toolboxes are still gonna be going towards generators when they're brought now. Hooks can now be sabotaged from any angle. Bear traps can no longer be sabotaged. Okay. That last one, though, that's another trapper buff, and a buff we've been asking for. So because that the traps can no longer be sabotaged, and the trapper can now reset his traps, Trapper has gotten 2 of the 8 buffs of the 10 buffs that the character actually fucking needs to succeed. So Trapper's getting a lot better, folks. Don't be sleeping on Trapper. He's already a pretty good character, and like the fact that Trapper is like a good character, despite all of his embarrassing weaknesses and all of his embarrassing destructive flaws that like prevent him from making it into like that shows you how powerful he is. Like that shows you how powerful his bear traps are. The fact that he has such crippling weaknesses, but is nowhere near the bottom of the tier list. Because the idea of saying, hey, survivors, you can't use this loop, that's really fucking good. And it's like I wish Dead Hard didn't work against his traps. That's the thing he really needs. Dead Hard, and like the fact that people can just fall out of his bear trap in a second, like shit like that. Those are the buffs he really, really needs, as well as like being able to have a bear trap bag out on base. Like the character has some significant problems. But, like, he's getting a lot better. The result is a much more dynamic sabotage interaction rather than running around and getting hooks ready at the start of a match. Sabotaging is now something that can be done on the fly. Meanwhile, if the killer reacts quickly, they may be able to take the survivor to a different hook in time, or drop the survivor and try again when the hook respawns shortly after. Okay, so it's like they respawn much faster, but like that doesn't help me. You need to give me specific numbers there, because again, you may try again when the devs don't seem to understand how like okay slugging actually is. They don't seem to get it. If there's a survivor right next to me trying to sabotage my hook, the correct place to throw the survivor that you have on your back on the fucking ground and then go after and chase the motherfucker. That's what it is. Embarrassing. So, like, the respect the slug and go into advantage, I still think is going to be the correct play during this interaction. The hook better needs to respawn in like 10 or 15 seconds. Like, that's why sabotaging is not worth it now. Because another thing that people would do with sabotage is like be in the corner and like sabotage the 2 hooks, and then like when they get down, drop to the corner. That's something people would do, and then they just couldn't be hooked. And so like that strategy seems like it's completely ruined. Which, thank God, that's not good. It's just annoying. To match the changes to sabotage, we have adjusted the following perks. Sabotage, Saboteur, whatever. See the auras of hooks within the killer's carrying range when a survivor is picked up. So sabotage a hook without the need for a toolbox with a cooldown. Okay, so what they're doing now is instead... Yeah, dude, the Trapper's getting good. Trapper has gotten 2 of the 10 buffs he needs. Okay, but so like basically what sabotage does now is instead of being 50% slower, you can now do it without a toolbox, and like you can now do it without a toolbox. It just has a cooldown. I never want to see that change go on self-care, but let's not give the devs any ideas to buff self-care. Hangman's trick. Yeah, big whoop. Hangman's trick is still going to be useless. Gain a notification when a hook sabotage starts while carrying a survivor. See the auras of any survivors within a set range of a hook. Okay, big deal. Nobody is going to run Hangman's trick. Hangman's trick, that's not a perk slot. That could be base. that can and should be base. No one even uses Hangman's Trick. Yeah, Hangman's Trick is garbage. No one. This buff's not going to do anything for it. Like, this interaction is something that, like, you should be able to react to as a killer player using your basic fundamentals. That's what it should, like, that's why Hangman's Trick is still a bad perk. See the aura of any survivors within a set range on a hook. Now that might be interesting. If the perk sees any play, it's definitely going to be for that reason, because seeing a survivor's aura is never a bad thing. And like, that might be something that, because nobody's going to expect you to be running Hangman's Trick. It might actually be worth experimentation just for that reason. Like, it might be worth a game just to see what it does. But especially, like, when the sabotage, because you know survivors are going to be trying to do this as soon as it goes in. You know they're going to be trying to do it and to see if they can get some mileage out of it, which is fine. But it's going to be interesting to see what it does. Breakdown. Hooks broken with this perk will remain broken for 3 minutes. Big deal. They just had to buff breakdown to compensate. Which I'm sure was just base. I'm sure 3 minutes was just base sabotage time before the nerf, but you know, whatever. Okay, so basically, the sabotage stuff, it is what it is. I think people are gonna try it, and then it's gonna be bad still, and they're not even gonna bother with it. That's my prediction. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. We'll see where it goes though, because if the survivors sabotaging becomes a reliable play again, Hangman's Trick might offer enough counterplay to where it might actually be worth something, and not be a bottom tier perk anymore. It might go up to low or mid tier. It's never gonna be a meta perk the way it is, but it's there. So whatever. Item retention update. With the update to toolboxes and the recent medkit changes in mind, we have made changes to the way items are handled once they are used up. Currently, an efficient survivor will keep an eye on their item and stop using it at the last second in order to escape with it and keep it. Since most items are used up very quickly now, we want to avoid awkward situations where you're trying to stop at the last second and accidentally destroy your item. Okay, so basically what they're doing here is this is something that I've always complained about. The fact that survivors get to keep their shit upon a win, and killers don't get to keep their shit on a win. I've always complained about that. Items will not be destroyed if all their charges are used up. It said the item will be disabled for the rest of the match. If you escape with an item with no charges left, it will be added back to your inventory as always. I don't care about that. I am happy about this next thing. We'll be making it so that any add-ons you equip are consumed after the match. That's good. That makes it just a bit more in line with Killer, which is how it should be. This is in line with killer add-ons, which are single use. Ace in the hole, it's fine. That's a perk that allows you to keep your add-ons after a trial. I am not against them doing something similar with killer. I mean, nobody would run the perk, but like the option would be there. Okay, so the item retention, it's whatever. They made it more in line with killer, which is how it should have always been in the first place. Survivors being able to keep some of their most broken stuff. Again, they couldn't keep their like most broken stuff, but like survivors being able to keep like moderately increased repair speed, I think was like on a toolbox, or like moderately increased healing speed. Like that, it wasn't like a big part of why you were losing to them, but like it's a pretty big part than it realized. Trapper about to be your main again. Hey, he's definitely looking better. He's definitely looking better. Even with these two changes, he's looking a lot better. No more sabotaging bear traps, as well as he can actually reset his traps. All they have to do with him now is just they gotta fix dead hard on a trap, make traps beat dead hard, which is there. We can finally stop. Well, I mean, you could. Dead hard, dude. Dead hard's always been my issue with him. They need to make a bag out on base and then get rid of dead hard, and I think the character will be at a good, decent enough state. And debatably, they need to make the fucking time to get out of a trap take longer. Anyway, so let's talk about the breakable walls. Debuting alongside the next chapter, we are pleased to announce a new feature that will allow killers to shape the map as they hunt down survivors. Breakable walls. This mechanic is available to all killers. Okay. Breakable walls will appear in preset locations much like pallets. Unlike pallet, a survivor cannot interact with them in any way. Thank God. Thank God. Well, yeah, you can't dead hard trap when you vault, which is why that's always been meta. I'm talking about like pallet loops and shit. But like, just it says survivors can't interact with the breakable walls in any way. Thank God. Because if the survivors were able to interact with the breakable walls, this mechanic wouldn't work. There is not enough mechanics like that in this game. There are not enough mechanics that are solo killer access. In fact, what is this, like the only one besides like hooking and shit? Breakable walls are something that survivors have no counterplay to. You get to decide how to break a wall. Thank God. Unlike pallets, yeah. The killer, however, can walk up to one of these walls and break it down whenever they like. For now, they will be exclusive to the upcoming map, which will be experimenting with different uses. And let's not kid each other, bugs. Because whenever these developers add a new mechanic, like, these people can't even, like, these people can't even fix the fact that survivors sound has been bugged for 6 months. What makes you think that the breakable walls is gonna go in without a scratch? This mechanic is gonna add a whole onslaught of new bugs to the game, so get ready for those. But breaking some may make a strong window loop weaker, allowing you to catch up quicker. Others might open up new paths to get around the map faster. We'll be keeping a close eye on how everyone uses them to see what works best before adding them to existing maps. I'll tell you what needs to be done here. This is a mechanic that can actually work. You need to be able to go up to a god loop and break it. If that is not what the end game here is, we're wasting our time with this mechanic. But seriously, you need to go to like the Ironworks of Misery loop, break that window. Done. The loop is done. Go up to Rancid Abattoir, break that window. Loop done. Go up to Disturbed Ward, break that window. Loop not done. The Disturbed Ward has some other things you have to fix on it. But like, there are so many problematic windows in this game that you could just add this mechanic to them. Boom, done. And that's something you can just never have to worry about again. And I swear to God, the opening play if they added this to the broken map, yeah, if they added this to the infinites, the killer's opening play is going to be immediately go to the infinites and break them. Because they're bullshit. Like, the infinites are just bullshit. And, like, the God Loops infinites just, like, that fence at Haddonfield. Break. Done. Like, it just needs to be gone. If we're not going to take it out of the game, you could at least make it a breakable wall. So that way, I can run over to it and get rid of it. Or it at most does, like, one interaction. Because it's like, oh, okay, the infinite spawn, I have to break that real fast. Yes, I will follow your Twitch. Just put it in as a comment instead of like, and then I'll be able to look at it. But like, this is a feature that might actually work. All they have to do is fucking do it right. So it's exclusive to the okay, but like, they have to add it first. They have to add it, because if they don't add it if they don't do this right, they're wasting their time with this mechanic. Because it's only going to be on the new map. But if we could actually, like, break down the infinites, this mechanic is going to be worth something. And this could potentially really change the game and make this easier for us. This mechanic, if it goes in the way I want it to go in, this could save killers so much time. This could be the thing that helps start fixing the game. If you have free time and watch my killer gameplay and my rage, of course. You're all mine enough too. I probably owe you at this point. So they will it's interesting to see like what the devs think it's gonna be good for, proving that the devs still know nothing about this game. Like, the devs going, wow, it might be easier to patrol maps. I'm here thinking, going, hey, you know the infinite suffocation pit? If you add the breakable wall there, I can kick it and then it's not a thing anymore. Like, it would fix, if, like, literally, if you're not gonna fix the map design, I'm going to have to. That's literally what this is. They're not gonna fix the broken map design, so I'm gonna have to go up to the busted window and kick it myself. Which, I mean, that's better than nothing. So, I applaud this mechanic. This mechanic needs to be we need to use this mechanic as a structure to which how we design maps in the future. And when we do any map reworks in the future, like, again, there's a fucking thing at a Badham preschool I would like to break as well. There's a, like, any of those disgusting forced vaults. I can already think of, like, 4 windows at Larry's that I would like to break. Like, there's so many things you could do with this, but you have to do it right. If this is not the mechanic they're going to use to help get God loops out of the game, we're wasting our time and this isn't going to do anything for the game. But if that's what we're doing and we're going to use this as a backbone, this could be the future. This could be something that is very, very important to killers. Okay, when breakable walls are added to other maps, they will appear differently to suit the realm's theme, although they may look different from map to map, but whatever. We make sure that they are easily recognizable so it's clear which walls can be broken and which ones can at a glance. Additionally, because like that's the thing, you could make a loop that has a broken break, any loop that has a broken setup. If you can go break that window, it's allowed to be broken because the killer doesn't have to run it. You could just break it anytime you want. Which, again, every killer's first play is going to be to go to some of those loops and just negate their awful map design. Because, literally, if you're not going to fix these maps, I'm going to have to. Additionally, any perk or add-on that affects pallet breaking speed will be extended to breakable walls. Killer powers that can break pallets will also be able to break the wall. So Demogorgon is going to be able to shred through a wall. That's actually really nice. What else? Who else? Like, Oni can break some stuff. Like, I'm trying to think of who that applies to. Let me look at the roster. Ah, man. I'm almost purple. Fucking rank reset, dude. I was just red rank. I feel so bad. Feels so bad. Okay, so who can actually break a pallet with their power? Demogorgon, Oni. And is that it? Is that Billy and Leatherface? So Billy and Leatherface are going to be able to do that. Okay, so that only applies to 4 killers, but you know that's all right. This could be the future of the game if it's implemented right. If it's implemented wrong, we're wasting our time with this, and it's going to barely do anything. But if it's good and they put it at those fucking infinites, then we're going to have something here. Mr. Shred, I don't want to. You're too loud. You're too loud. Let's get it, Bubba. You're loud too. Why is everybody so loud? The Wraith, you're not loud. Okay. Okay, so that's up with that. Additional killer changes. With the release of the next chapter, a few existing killers will be receiving some slight changes. Okay. With the update, the Doctor received the last... There are now 2 ways to inflict madness. To make it clear what is required to increase the survivor madness level, we are making the following changes. Okay, I was still... They realized that their killer base is going down. Exactly. But they realized that a lot of killers stopped playing, and so this is like their idea to compensate. It's not the thing killers need, so like killer is still going to be a weak role. This doesn't fix the game by any stretch of the imagination, but this is potentially a backbone to start making killer a better role. So when I saw the Doctor was getting changes, I was really worried that they were going to nerf the shit out of him, but they don't seem to have done that. What they did now was like... Madness no longer decays passively over time, but that actually helps the Doctor. So the people that were bitching, actually made Doctor better by bitching. So good job, guys. Shock therapy will add half a madness level to any survivor's hit. Static blast will add a full level of madness to any survivor's hit. That's fine. I honestly don't think that nerf or buff was like I don't know if that was a buff or a nerf or what it was, but like. I think this is still going to be decent for the game, for Doctor, because now that madness doesn't passively like that helps. That helps, dude. The fact that madness will no longer passively decay, that means if you were at stage 1, you'll have maybe it's a nerf. I don't know. The point is, it's not going to affect the Doctor very much, and I was worried they were going to nerf the shit out of him. So this isn't going to really do anything. Yes. Overall, the amount of times you need to shock a survivor to increase their madness should feel roughly the same, since their madness no longer passively decay. The goal is to make it clearer to survivors what is required, and the Doctor mains. But whatever. Doctor mains were good at this anyway. This is still a survivor change, but the fact that the madness doesn't passively decay anymore will help the Doctor tremendously. So, well, maybe not tremendously, but it'll help. So they stuck to their guns on the Doctor. Very proud of them for that. At least they stuck to their guns on that. All right, the Plague. Going forward, the Plague will always start with 1 corrupted fountain. So Plague gets an Apple add-on base now, Which because Apple was never something I really ran on her, because I liked I liked the things that infected like Vile Purge effectiveness and cooldown much better. But like the fact that we get this add-on, Blessed Apple, we get that base. This is one of her best add-ons. Well, best. This is a high tier add-on. This is an add-on that a lot of plagues run. So this means she will get to see Corrupt Purge at least once a game, no matter what. Which was always one of her biggest problems because of the fact that you just didn't have to potentially, you wouldn't ever get a Corrupt Purge, potentially. The fact that this Apple add-on is base means that you could wreak all kinds of havoc on them when they're all fully sick, deciding not to cleanse, and then she gets an apple. This can help really speed her up and actually give her a new threat level. So like, here's what the thing. You down a survivor, hook them, everybody, like, this will be, I think Blessed Apple, because you have a choice. Do you do this early game? Absolutely not. You have to get them corrupted. You have to get them corrupted. I think you have to slow them down. You have to just go, and I don't think going towards your fountain is going to be good. I don't know, but it does add another layer of strategy though, because you can use Corrupt Purge first, get it down, and then start your snowball that way. So like, if you can get a quick down and get started faster, that might be good. Or you could play traditionally with her, just kind of see. I think different plague players would prefer different methods, and I think like that. Thank God they're doing that, because she needed this. The point is, she needed something to get her started and like something to like make her keep up her pressure. So it's good that she got this. It's not going to make her top tier broken OP. It's probably not even going to get her out of mid tier. But the fact is, I think she's definitely better than the pig now. If that makes you feel any better. She's definitely in the mid tier now, whereas before she was like bordering on the low tier. She's definitely in the mid tier now. Okay, so Trapper. As mentioned above, the Trapper's traps will no longer give survivors the option to sabotage them. Thank fucking God. What is this, fucking 2 years too late on that one? What is that, 2 years too late on the sabotage buff? Additionally, his traps can now be reset without picking them up first. The option is available whether you're currently holding another trap or not. Thank God. Because that was another big reason why the bag add-on was fucking important, because you had to be able to do that to speed up the reset of a trap. So at least that is not going to be an issue anymore. The bag add-on is still super important, but it's now just like, if you don't play without a bag add-on, it's now less bad, I guess. Again, less bad, but which is the theme that the devs love to do with this fucking garbage. But two buffs for Trapper. He definitely needed both buffs, so it's good that they have started. We're not done yet. We're not done yet by any stretch of the imagination. This is only the beginning of what we have to do to fix Killer. Again, the MMR cannot get here fast enough. But Trapper is definitely a better character now than ever before, because his traps can now never be gone from the game. So thank God for that. He's still going to be super slow, which is still going to be a problem, but the damage... I think we are at a point now where they've nerfed Killer so much that we've hit that ceiling of nerfs. I still don't think we're done with nerfs. They are going to nerf slowdown synergy. Do not get comfortable with Thanatophobia and Dying Light together. Do not get comfortable with it. I'm warning y'all right now. Do not get comfortable with Thanatophobia and Dying Light together. Always start trying to predict what the devs are going to nerf. So... stick to Pop Goes the Weasel and Dying Light. That's my recommendation for slowdown perks. Because I don't know how you nerf those together though. That's why I think that combination is safe. Stick to Thana/Dying Light and Pop Goes the Weasel, because that's the combination where I really don't know how they nerf that. I think Dying Light is going to be better than Thana overall. Once they nerf Thana Dying Light, there's really no reason to like have Thana. But Thana's still going to be situational, so it's going to be interesting. Plus, Thana's faster than Dying Light, so like those two perks are definitely like the trade-off. But Dying Light's reward is potentially better if you can get started. So it's just strange. But like, this could be a backbone potentially to fixing Killer. potentially, if we do this right. So let's talk about the future. We have to go over the future now, because this is, we're not done yet, people. We're not done yet by any stretch of the imagination. First of all, once MMR goes in, we will hopefully start getting a more accurate frame of balance to work with, which will reveal what we know already, which is killer is severely underpowered, so we can start, like, fixing the role. So, what do we do in the future? Well, I still think we gotta hit the gen somehow. We have to slow the game down. And, like, everybody is aware of this. Because of Ruin being gone, it's a critical feature that we have to get the game slowed down somehow. Especially now, where I still think it's going to be pretty damn optimal to go break infinite loops if they implement it into the game, right? Because the only weakness of this is that if breakable walls becomes a thing on the god loops, and our first play is to go over and break the god loops, that means every kill is going to require some setup. And so that will slow down the early game for every single killer. So the early game still needs a buff. We need the critical buff that killers need, we have not yet gotten, which is we have to fix the fucking early game. Once we fix the early game, which again, I hope the early game is addressed in some way, shape, or form. The early game is just not in a good state right now. You can get your first down with 3 gens popped. An optimal team of survivors can pop 4 generators in 2.5 minutes. Like, that is absolute nonsense and shouldn't be in the game. So I'm hoping that's the buff we need. Keep your eyes out for that, even though it's never gonna happen. That's what we need, and I will continue campaigning that is what we need until I feel like the game's in a good enough state. That is what we need. We need the gens to be, we need that early game addressed. I still think the proper way to address it is to cut off some gen speeds. We need to nerf the gen speeds somehow. But that early game needs addressed any way, shape, or form. I'm open to them trying anything at this point. Anything to get the early game slower. Corrupt intervention on all the generators should be based. IMO. But yeah, whatever. That's what you could do. You could make rework corrupt intervention and then make corrupt intervention clogging up 4 or 5 generators base at the start of the game. That's what that would help. That would help significantly. And then I still think the killer should see the obsession's aura at the beginning of every match. That would help. There's a lot of things you could do to speed the early game up. Because the point is we gotta lessen that patrol time. So but I don't know, that's for the future. The breakable walls is something we have to design maps around. Any structure that is better, any broken structure on every map needs a breakable wall. Here, you know how to make the stirred ward worse? I know how to make the stirred ward worse. And, well, maybe not really. Well, yeah, that would make the stirred ward worse. Because the thing about this mechanic is that killers now have control over certain things. So if they made every pallet at the stirred ward a breakable wall, because what these are, you know, killers are like, I wish I could break a pallet before it was dropped. You know, that's the thing. If you make half the pallets at the stirred ward breakable walls, and the killer can go in there and just get rid of like 4 breakable walls instantly, the stirred ward infinitely becomes less good. 2 keys. Good shit. And they picked the Mother's Dwelling. Good man, dude. Oh yeah, speaking about, there's a window at Mother's Dwelling I would like to be able to break at the center. The fact is, where do you put these things? Any map that survivors just kind of run towards a certain spot, that's your clue of where to put the breakable windows. Because chances are they're not going for a pallet, they're going for a window. And then I hope the shack should never have a breakable window on it. The shack has too many mind games at this point. Mind gaming the shack is becoming a part of the game. I love the shack, and I'll tell you why I love the shack. The shack is the perfect location in my mind. It's potentially a location where survivors can get a lot of reward out of, but it's also not broken, and it has a ton of mind games. There is a lot a killer can do at the shack to defeat you. When you're at the shack, it is just healthy enough to be really strong, and just weak enough to where killers can mind game it and exploit it. Nothing about the shack is busted. I think when we're designing locations, the shack is the standard. When we're designing like a strong location, the shack should be standard for strong locations in this game in the future. And again, anything stronger than shack needs a breakable wall. That's how we should do it. Anything that is stronger than the killer shack needs a breakable wall. The shack does not need a breakable wall. But it's interesting to see this idea going in. And again, to apply this to old maps, any god loop, gone. Breakable wall. So if the killer spawns at suffocation pit right next to the broken loop, bang, it's just gone. So, and then gas heaven, the windows at the gas station could get broken, and there'd be no issues with it. Like maybe the tractors are another thing that could get breakable windows. Those vaults, and just break them. But there's so many potentially pains in the ass that are just gone if you do this right. So I think sabotage and all that shit's gonna be completely ignorable, but if we design the game around the breakable walls, there's hope for killer yet. The toolboxes aren't going to do anything because the base numbers are and always have been the problem. But it will make the game less bad. You'll never see brand new part again, thank God. Survivors, burn your brand new parts now because they're gone. They are gone but the gen rush does not go away by any stretch of the imagination. It's the 44 seconds that's a pain in the ass, and the yeah. Here's another change that I would agree with for survivors. You know how many times you'll see survivors switch to a key or a flashlight on the select screen at the very last second? Survivors. If the survivors need to be locked in 15 seconds before the killer. If the survivors get locked in 15 seconds before the killer, they will not be able to bring a purple flashlight or a key at the very last second anymore to stop the killer from equipping their Ebony Mori or Franklin's Demise or anything like that. Because like the fact that both sides have to ready up at the same time helps the survivors and nobody else. Helps the survivors, and it doesn't help killer one bit. Because the killer can't actively know what they're up against. Because if the survivors do this on the select screen, they don't show you what you're playing against until you have to queue up. Which again, you can't equip your Mori, you can't equip your Franklin's Demise, you can't have a necessary perk loadout to be able to handle the game. And that's a problem. That is what we call a problem, developers. We need to get rid of that. That it's bullshit that they can do that. And the hook tech has got to go. Them being able to crawl under a hook should not matter. The survivor that is on a hook should not have a hurt box. In my opinion, they should not have a hurt box. I was fine with it before because survivors were able to or how about this? You can keep the guy having a hurt box, but they need to have a collision. The guy on the hook has to have collision. You shouldn't just be able to go under him. That is a bunch of BS. Give him fucking collision, please. But anyway, I'm just talking BS at this point. This is definitely the best update that we've gotten in over half a year, but that's also not saying much. This is not going to fix the game. The problems with this game are still going to be there, but it is now less bad than it was before. That's all you have to look forward to. It's less bad. Alright, boys. That's all I got to say. I have to get back to work on homework. Isn't that exciting? But I wanted to make this because I saw the fucking update, and so I wanted to do what I do, which is react to the developers. I said I wasn't impressed at the beginning. I am not impressed right now because there's still too many issues with the game. But there is potential here to help fix the game in the future. If we use this update as a backbone to guide the next few months of development, I think this game will be in a decent spot once the early game is fixed. The early game still needs fixed, but this game is not hopeless. At least I can say that. We have to fix the early game, and then we still need a fucking competitive scene. But you know, other than that, other than like all the crippling flaws, ridiculous. All right, we're done here, lads. GG's.